Hello everyone, we're doing a minor camera adjustment. Thank you for joining me live today. Let me just finish my setup here and we can get started. So welcome to Live from the Dolce Vita Cafe. It is March 14th and I hope you're doing well. So we had a little flirtation with spring. It was in the 60s for a couple of days this past week, and then today it's like 40 something, so it's cold again. Can't put the sweaters away just yet. So I have several things I want to talk to you about today. I want to start off by saying I was reading a study about the Mediterranean diet that took place in Spain, and it was about how the Mediterranean diet can affect the whole household. So if someone in your household is on the Mediterranean diet, and especially if they're the cook in the house, if they're the primary cook for the family, that the health benefits of the Mediterranean diet extend out to the whole family, especially if you're the cook, because people are eating healthier foods. And the Mediterranean diet is easy because the foods are delicious. People aren't really sitting down thinking they're eating diet food. They're just eating different foods and more vegetables. And I just thought it was a really interesting study that it can affect the whole household, because if someone isn't really, following your diet, or like, oh, mom, she's on one of her crazy diets again or something like that. If you're the primary cook, your family's going to get healthier by osmosis. and people actually start to naturally lose weight in the household too when you're following the diet, because you're cooking and they're sitting down to the table and they don't even recognize it as diet food, because, it's Italian food or it's Greek food or it's Spanish food, and it just is beautiful food. So I thought that was really optimistic, good news. So I hope if you are on the Mediterranean diet and you have family members that aren't on the same page as you, sometimes you'll go to diet and they'll be like, oh, mom's on a diet, what are we going to have for dinner? That's me imitating. They will have the health benefits. They will enjoy the health benefits as well as you, without even realizing that it's happening to them. And what's interesting, though, is the study said that it didn't extend to exercise. So if someone in the household, and if it's you, is on the Mediterranean diet and you're starting to add exercise to your diet, the rest of the family won't start exercising, but they will eat the food that you cook. So they're going to get the benefits anyway. So I thought that was really fun. And along those lines, I'm going to take a sip of water. I wanted to talk about how you can hide vegetables in your food without people noticing. And I think I've touched on this a few episodes ago, of how to get vegetables in your family when people are like, oh, mom's on the Mediterranean diet. Excuse me. The other day, I had some leftover spaghetti sauce. So I had leftover tomato sauce from a pasta dish that we had made. And then a couple days later, we were going to make pizza. So I was going to use this leftover sauce. So what we did is, and no one even knew in the house, we took an entire zucchini and we put it in the food processor and blitzed it to a pulp, and then cooked it a little bit with some olive oil in a pan so that it wasn't raw. And then we added that leftover sauce to it and heated that up, and then used that on the pizza. No one had any idea that they just ate all the zucchini, and it didn't taste any different. They just were having pizza with tomato sauce on it, and it was really good, and it was nice and fresh tasting. But that's a great way to get vegetables in to your family who don't want to eat vegetables. I know a lot of people who have family members who are just really iffy on vegetables and don't want to start eating a bunch of vegetables. And I actually learned this from a pizza place when I was living in California. What was that place called? I think it was called Fresh Brothers. And they had really excellent pizza. One of them was called, I think it was called like the Nona's Special or something like that. And it had several kinds of vegetables hidden in the tomato sauce like that. And maybe it wasn't the Nona's Special. That might have been the one that had spinach on it, but whatever. It had one of their pizzas had a bunch of vegetables hidden in the tomato sauce so that you can get vegetables in your kid by just serving them pizza. And they're none the wiser, and they're having delicious pizza that night. They don't realize how healthy they're being. So if you have people who are a little reluctant to eat a lot of vegetables or claim that they don't like vegetables, tomato sauce is a great way to hide vegetables in the food and get the health benefits of the Mediterranean diet. So I just thought I'd mention that as a little trick. So let me see, is anyone watching me? Yes, hello, thank you for joining me today. And remember, if you want to chat, if you want to ask me any questions, there's a chat box on this side of the screen if you're on your desktop. I think if you're on your phone, you'll see a little chat button that'll open up underneath the video. But you can ask me questions, you can make comments, or if there's anything you want to be coached around, just let me know in the comment box. And when the live presentation is over, the chat box closes and the comments appear down below. So you can always ask me later and I'll come back and check, and then I'll either answer them in your comments or I'll answer them in the next week's program. So what else is on my agenda for today? I love water. I've had a couple of people write to me and ask me, can I eat bread on the Mediterranean diet? Now this question always is in line with, can I eat carbs on the Mediterranean diet? Because people are like, oh my God, you're eating pasta on the you're on a diet and you're eating pasta. Oh my God, you're eating bread. Somehow the food industry has convinced everyone that carbs are bad in this country. There are different kinds of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates give you energy. You have to have them in your body. It just depends on what kind of carbs that you eat. So you don't want to eat things that are made with really refined flours and sugars and things like that. So when you're shopping for bread, yes, of course you can eat bread in the Mediterranean diet. I don't think I could live without bread. I love bread. But when you go to the supermarket, if you go to that bread aisle, just pick up a random loaf of bread and look at the ingredients, and you won't believe how many ingredients are listed on that loaf of bread. And a lot of times they have hidden sugars, and most of the time it's high fructose corn syrup. If you're lucky, it's sugar or honey. But still, you don't need to have any kind of sugar in a bread. I know a lot of people think that even if you make bread at home, you have to add some kind of sweetener to it to help the yeast activate. It's really not true. You can make it without. But even a little bit of it is not too concerning. You don't want to buy anything that has so many ingredients that you don't know what they are. And, some things that are natural ingredients will have complicated words. So it's not always about what you're reading on the package. But things like datum, I don't even know what that is, and you'll see it a lot of times in bread. And then just all kinds of preservatives and things that are added to your bread. So yes, you can eat bread, but just eat healthy bread. That's why I like to buy bread at the bakery. We have an Italian bakery near us, and they make bread that probably has 4 ingredients in it, maybe even less. It's just a nice Italian flour with some water and, some yeast and maybe a pinch of salt. Sometimes bread might have an egg in it, depending on what kind of bread you're making. So just go for healthier types of bread. I know a lot of people like to eat sourdough bread because it doesn't have any egg or, has very few ingredients. So if you like sourdough, that's a good choice. Rye bread is an excellent choice for bread. Rye bread is one of the healthiest breads that you can eat, and it's so tasty. I love rye bread. It doesn't work in all situations because of its distinct, powerful flavor, but it's great for sandwiches. It's great for breakfast. It makes wonderful toast. Or just buy, something at the bakery. Or if you don't have a bakery near you that sells bread like that, a lot of times our supermarkets will have a bakery section, and you'll probably find breads that are a little bit better there than you would in the bread aisle. So yes, you can eat bread on the Mediterranean diet. Just be careful about what you choose and try to find something that has the fewest ingredients possible. And sometimes you can try making bread yourself too. I know who wants to make bread every day, right? But sometimes it's fun and it makes your house smell wonderful. So I know I have a bread machine and I don't pull it out as often as I should. But that's one way to really know what's in your bread. So yes, you can eat bread. And I just wanted to get that out there. This is not a low carb diet. The Mediterranean diet is not at all a low carb diet. You can eat pasta, you can eat bread, you can really eat anything you want as long as it's not super refined or full of super processed or full of a lot of preservatives and things. It's all about getting back to nature, adding vegetables, just really kind of relaxing about your food and not eating things that are convenience foods. That's why it's easy to stay on a Mediterranean diet. It's easy to go on a Mediterranean diet. Excuse me, because you're not doing something that's such a drastic lifestyle change. Unless you're eating, frozen food all the time, then it would be a change for you. But I think it would be a change that you would really enjoy. So that's my answer to can I eat bread? And excuse me for a second. I have some comments. Hello, Maestro. I love hiding vegetables in sauce. I know, isn't it the best way? I mean, you don't even know that they're there. It just adds a freshness. Carrots, garlic, celery, onions. Yes, you can make a blend. Pretty much if you're making anything, you can blend carrots, garlic, celery, and onions, chop them up really fine, and just make that the starter to all of your recipes. And you can hide them very easily in a tomato sauce because tomato sauce is a powerful flavor in and of itself, and things kind of just disappear into it. So the nutrients and everything are still there, and there might be some little added freshness that you can't even quite place what it is, but it's an excellent way to get a lot of vegetables and a lot of vegetables in a serving. Because I mentioned the other week that I had written an article about adding 10 fruits and vegetables, 10 servings of fruits and vegetables to your diet per day. The nutritional guidelines are usually 5, but then I had read a study that said if you add 10, it's even better. And it's really not as hard as you would think. So that's a good way to get a lot of vegetables, a lot of servings of vegetables, because serving sizes are small. You don't have to eat 10 different vegetables in one day. You don't have to eat an entire butternut squash, just a couple ounces of that would be a serving. A little handful of blueberries or something, or a little handful of strawberries, or maybe a little side of potato or some green beans with your dinner. And then, if you have a salad, you can add a bunch of things into a salad at once and get a lot of servings. So try to think about adding as many of those things to your food as you can. And if you have people in their household who are reluctant, these are ways that you can hide them. So thank you, Maestro. I'm glad that you're doing it too. The next thing I wanted to mention was a snack that I like to make. People are always looking for healthy snacks on the Mediterranean diet. And this week we made baba ghanoush. And it's something that doesn't really look all that pretty in the bowl, but it's so delicious. It's an eggplant-based appetizer. I think it comes from Lebanon. And it's made with roasted eggplant, and tahini, and there's some garlic in there, and some olive oil, and parsley, cumin, paprika. It just makes a wonderfully, the cumin and the paprika give it like a depth that is it's just so lovely. And then you just use it as a dip. We made it the other day, and I took an eggplant, you split it in half lengthways. And then you rub a little olive oil on it, and the cut side down in the oven, and you roast it until it's soft. And then you scoop the flesh out, so you're not really eating the skin. And you just put it all in a food processor or a blender, and everything else that goes in it. It's in my book, actually. So if you have my book, I think it is. So on page 260. So here it is, baba ghanoush. It's really easy to make. So give it a try. It's great for, if you have some pita bread, or you can dip vegetables into it. Sometimes I put it on crackers, or I use the rye bread that I like to eat and dip into it. And it can make also a nice sandwich spread. So if you want to make a sandwich and you want something on it instead of mayonnaise, to give it like some kind of moisture, you can put a little spread of baba ghanoush on it. So it's a really nice, well-rounded appetizer to make. So baba ghanoush. I will put a link to a video, I think, where I made it down below. And I think I also have it on my website, so I'll put a link to both of those recipes that you can try. So let's see, we are about 13 minutes into the show. The only other thing I wanted to talk to you about is I started a new series on my blog, donnadroza.com, on my website, all about elegance. So it's all about how to be an elegant woman in the modern world. So far I have up, it's going to be an in-depth series. It's probably going to have 14 or 15 articles attached to it. Right now I have up an introduction that's just kind of explaining and introducing the concept of this new feature series that I'm going to do, and touching upon all the different topics that I want to talk about. And it's not just really elegance, how you would think of, chic or something like that. Because the first article is about how to curate an elegant wardrobe. But I don't tell you actually what to wear in it. I tell you more what types of things would make an elegant wardrobe. So, buying quality clothing and things like that. I'm not actually going to tell you how to dress because that's entirely up to you. You can be elegant and chic in your own style. But they're not all going to be about style tips. We're going to talk about elegance of your mind, and elegance in your food, and many different topics. So I hope that you'll go check that out on my website. I'll put a link to it down below so you can read those first 2 articles, and I'll probably add them eventually to my podcast as well. So the only other thing I wanted to talk to you about today was I also read an article about how to rock a red lip. So as you can see, I have red lipstick on today, and I kind of have it on in a subtle way. This is Max Ruby Woo, which is a very popular color. I don't actually have it in a stick, I have it in a pan. So I put on some lip balm, and then I just touched it on with my finger, so it's kind of subtle. And I think it's an elegant way to uplift your look for the day. It makes you feel confident when you wear red lipstick. There's something psychological about wearing this color. And so the article that I wrote about that, which I will link down below, gives you some tips on how to choose the right red shade for your skin tone, and also how to wear it what are the best ways of applying it so that it looks nice and neat, or it can be applied as a stain like this. So I hope you go check that out too. I think that's a little fun article that I wrote. And I think that's all I have for you today. We're about 15 minutes in, so unless anybody has any questions, you can always write them down below if you don't want to come on the chat. And I think that's all I have, and I will see you next week. When is Easter? I'm going to take Easter Sunday off, but that's not for a couple of weeks, so don't worry about it. I will see you next week on the show. So again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Bye!